Welcome back, everybody. Today, we're going to be diving into something kind of different. A really unique method for tackling test-taking anxiety.
Yeah.
We always talk about
Yeah.
deep breaths and relaxation techniques and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But this is about using action words to kind of help you face those pre-test jitters head on.
I think that what's really fascinating about this method is that it's designed to help you kind of understand your anxiety better,
Yeah.
tap into those inner resources that you have, and ultimately develop a plan for success, game plan.
So it's almost like a mental toolkit, but
Yeah.
instead of screwdrivers and wrenches, we're using words as our tools.
Exactly. And the beauty of it is it can be used for individual reflection or even in group settings.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it's super versatile.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about these action word cards.
Sure.
What are they and how do they work?
Well, imagine a deck of cards, each with a single powerful action word on it.
Okay.
Think accept, access, allow, even banish, and announce. These words act as prompts, encouraging you to think about your anxiety in a new light and take concrete steps to manage it.
So instead of just telling myself to calm down, I might draw a card that says believe, and that becomes my focus.
Exactly.
It seems almost too simple.
Right.
How does that actually help with test anxiety?
It's all about shifting your perspective and moving from feeling overwhelmed to taking action.
Okay.
So let's say you draw the word believe.
Okay.
Instead of getting bogged down by self-doubt, you start thinking about what you need to believe in to succeed.
Uh-huh.
Do you need to believe in your knowledge, your preparation, your ability to handle pressure?
Yeah.
The card helps you zero in on those specific areas.
That's a good point. It forces you to get specific about what's holding you back and what you need to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you actually use these cards? Is there a set process?
There is a simple 3-step process that you can use for individual reflection.
Okay.
First, you draw a card.
Yeah.
Don't overthink it. Just let the word come to you. Then you take a few moments to really reflect on that word.
Okay.
How does it apply to your current situation? What thoughts, feelings, or memories does it evoke?
Okay, so I've got my word, and I've thought about what it means to me in this context.
Mm-hmm.
Now what?
The final step is to turn that reflection into action.
Okay.
Ask yourself, what can I do inspired by this word to manage my test anxiety?
Uh-huh.
If you drew believe, maybe you decide to spend 5 minutes visualizing yourself confidently taking the exam.
Mm.
Or maybe you choose to focus on reviewing the material you feel most confident about. The action step is about translating the word into a tangible strategy.
So it's not just about thinking about the word, it's about using it as a springboard for action.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But I have to admit, the idea of drawing a card like access and suddenly knowing what resources I need feels a little magical.
Right.
What if I'm drawing a blank?
That's a great question. And it highlights the importance of really digging deep during that reflection stage.
Oh.
If access leaves you stumped, ask yourself, what am I overlooking?
Mm-hmm.
What tools, skills, or support systems do I have that I'm not fully utilizing?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's your meticulously organized study notes, a tried and true relaxation technique, or even the support system you have in friends and family.
Yeah.
The card acts as a gentle nudge to look beyond the initial panic and recognize the resources that you already have.
Right. They're already there. You just have to remember them.
Exactly.
So it's like that saying, you have all the tools you need already, but sometimes you need a little reminder of what those tools are.
Yes.
And that's where the action word cards come in.
Exactly. It's about reframing your thinking and tapping into your own potential. And that's just the individual approach.
Right.
These cards can also be incredibly powerful in a group setting.
Okay, let's talk about that. I'm picturing a study group, everyone's stressed about an upcoming exam, and someone pulls out these cards.
Yeah.
How does that play out?
Imagine each person drawing a card and then sharing what that word brings up for them in relation to the upcoming test.
Uh-huh.
Someone might draw banish and talk about how they're going to banish negative self-talk during the exam.
Oh.
Another person might draw allow and discuss the importance of allowing themselves to feel nervous without letting those feelings control them.
This banish card is interesting.
Yeah.
Isn't ignoring negative thoughts a form of denial?
Uh-huh.
Shouldn't we be addressing those thoughts head on?
That's a great point, and it's where the discussion gets really interesting.
Okay.
Banishing negative self-talk isn't about pretending those thoughts don't exist.
Correct.
It's about recognizing them, acknowledging their presence, and then consciously choosing to focus on more empowering thoughts.
Okay.
It's like saying, I hear you negativity, but I'm not going to let you run the show.
I get it. It's not about suppression, it's about redirecting your focus.
Exactly.
So the group setting allows for these different perspectives to emerge, and you can learn from each other's experiences.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of it. What might seem like a simple word on a card can spark a deeper conversation about individual coping mechanisms, shared experiences, and collective strategies for success.
It turns test anxiety from an isolating experience into a shared one.
Yes.
And the brainstorming aspect sounds really helpful, too.
Absolutely. Let's say someone draws access and they're struggling to identify resources. The group can step in and offer suggestions, reminding them of study groups, online tutorials, or even just the power of a good night's sleep.
Right.
It's about creating a supportive environment where everyone feels empowered to tackle their anxiety head-on.
You mentioned earlier that these cards can be adapted for different situations.
Yeah.
Our source material even had an example of a deck tailored specifically for AMCI students.
It's a fascinating example of how versatile this method can be. The source suggested categories like confidence, relaxation, and growth, with specific words chosen to resonate with those themes.
So for the confidence category, you might have words like believe, assert, or own.
Exactly. And for relaxation, you might see words like breathe, release, or center. It's about curating a deck that speaks to the specific needs and challenges of the group or individual using it.
This AMCI student example is pretty specific.
Yeah.
Can you give me a broader example of how someone might customize these cards for themselves?
Absolutely. Let's say you're someone who struggles with public speaking.
Okay.
You could create a deck with categories like preparation, delivery, and mindset.
Okay.
For preparation, you might include words like research, practice, and organize.
Oh, I like that. And for delivery, you might have project, engage, and connect.
You got it. It's all about tailoring the words to the specific challenge that you're facing. It's like creating a personalized pep talk deck that's both encouraging and actionable.
It's so interesting how a simple deck of cards can become such a powerful tool for personal growth. And it's inspiring to see how easily it can be adapted for different situations and challenges. But before we wrap up, I want to touch on one thing that's been lingering in my mind. We've talked a lot about the action part of this process.
Yes.
But how do you know if you're taking the right actions? What if I draw a card, come up with an action step, and it just doesn't work?
That's an excellent question, and it highlights something really important about this method. It's a journey, not a destination.
Okay.
There's no one right way to use these cards, and what works for one person might not work for another. The key is to approach it with a spirit of experimentation and self-discovery.
So it's less about finding the perfect solution and more about using these cards as a way to explore different approaches and figure out what works best for you.
Exactly. Think of it as an ongoing dialogue with yourself.
Okay.
You draw a card, you try an action, you observe the results, and then you adjust your approach as needed. It's about being curious, being open to new possibilities, and trusting yourself to find what works best for you.
That takes the pressure off. It's not about getting it right on the first try. It's about using these cards as a tool for self-reflection and growth.
Yes.
And if one approach doesn't work, you can always draw another card and try something new.
Precisely. It's about embracing the process and recognizing that personal growth is an ongoing journey.
This has been a fascinating deep dive. We've explored what action word cards are, how they can be used both individually and in groups, and even how to personalize them for different challenges. What's really striking me is the simplicity of the concept, paired with its remarkable adaptability and potential for impact. It really feels like we've unpacked a whole new way of thinking about and approaching challenges.
Yeah.
And it all starts with a single word.
It does.
I have to admit, I'm pretty excited to try this out myself.
I think that's the beauty of this method.
Yeah.
It sparks curiosity and empowers you to take control. You're not just passively accepting anxiety.
Right.
You're actively engaging with it and exploring ways to manage it.
It feels like we've given our listener a key to unlock a whole new level of self-awareness.
But like you said earlier, it's not about finding the perfect solution.
Right.
It's about the journey of exploration and discovery.
And who knows what you might discover along the way. Maybe you'll find that a word you initially dismissed becomes your go-to strategy. Or maybe you'll create entirely new action words that resonate even more deeply with you. The possibilities are truly endless.
It's almost like we've given our listener a set of paints and a blank canvas.
Yeah.
Now it's up to them to create their own masterpiece.
I love that analogy. And just like with painting, there are no mistakes, only opportunities for learning and growth.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, is there a final thought you'd like to leave our listener with? Something to ponder as they embark on their own action word journey?
Sure. Here's a question for you. We've explored how these action word cards can help with test anxiety.
Right.
But how might you use this technique for other challenges or goals in your life?
Could you create a deck for work-related stress, for building confidence in social situations, or for navigating those moments of self-doubt that creep in from time to time? The possibilities are truly endless.
That's a great point. It really underscores the versatility and adaptability of this method. And it's a perfect note to end on, leaving our listener with a spark of curiosity, a challenge to explore, and the tools to create their own path to success.
It's been a pleasure diving deep with you today.
And a huge thank you to you, our listener, for joining us on this journey of discovery. We'll be back soon with another fascinating deep dive into a topic you won't want to miss. Until then, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep those action words flowing.